as soon as Joel gets impaled, that's when the season switches to winter, which starts a new segment of the game. You're playing as Ellie, and you have to just try and find medicine for Joel, and then during this time you end up having these flashbacks, which is this episode. So I feel like what a lot of people are complaining about this episode is it's all just, moments, there's no action, blah, 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 because in the game, it's in segments between you cutting back and forth and having to get medicine, kill clickers, like there's action in between it. This is just that story, if that makes sense. That's my thoughts on it.
I don't know, I feel like, if you have a problem watching this episode and if it was boring and if it didn't hold your attention and if zombies didn't get stabbed in the head, then that's fine. Go watch Lost. You dumb cunt. This is sophisticated drama and it's well executed.
I mean, exactly right. Like, this is what this is about. It's not a fucking horror gore fest. Go watch a fucking horror gore fest movie or something if you want. This is a fucking well thought out, slower drama. It's all about character moments.
Yeah.
The game was too. There was just action in between.
I think, everyone assumed that there were going to be more action moments and more intense, gory battles and stuff because the game has a lot of violence and stuff. But for reasons...
It's not really necessary.
Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, they decided to lean more out of the violence, which is still very, very prevalent in the show and happens very often. And make it like a hard dialogue-driven drama about emotions and love and loss. So after the complete horrible despair and darkness of the last episode with old and we get some lighthearted humor here. It's 3 months later, so it's also like a nice reset after all that horrible, horrible darkness. And Joel and Ellie are now in a winter landscape. They come across these two old, fat, married couple out in the middle of nowhere, and they're back and forth, and their chemistry together, and the dialogue was just really nice and funny and brilliant, and just changed it up, gave you some hope and light and humour.
It was supposed to be a tense situation, but it's supposed to feel like it's supposed to be, but it's not, if that makes sense. It was deliberate.
Yeah.
And it worked perfectly. I do want to point out this part of the game is in autumn, not winter.
True.
Yeah, the next part after the whole thing that happens in this episode is when winter begins.
So they just skipped autumn.
Yeah, they just skipped autumn.
That's fair. 4 seasons is a lot.
I mean, they're travelling across country, so it's not really that much when you think about it. On foot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, it's just pointing out it's not a problem. It's just...
The landscapes here did look fucking beautiful. I remember when I watched the trailer and I'm like, Mark, this is a Western. You fucking hate Westerns. What are you going to do now? You're going to have to rethink your idea of Westerns. And I started watching the show and I'm like, it's not really a Western.
It was like that with The Mandalorian too, though.
Yeah.
That was a Western.
Yeah. There are really good Westerns. The Good, Bad and the Ugly is one of the greatest movies of all time. But the show didn't feel like a Western going into it, but now it's starting to feel like a Western. We got the composer, I learned his first name, I didn't learn his last name. It was a lot, okay? Gustavo is his first name. And there's just these beautiful little guitar pieces. He doesn't quite play guitar, it's like some weird Mexican half...
You're like, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, he's same guy from the game. I feel like that's part of what made this capture The Last of Us. If you didn't have his music there, it never... ever would have succeeded.
Well, at the beginning, the first few episodes, I'm like, he's alright. The music does what it should do, but now in these episodes, it's really started to become its own and stand out as a piece of music rather than just something serving the emotion of the scenes.
It's also
lots of
how much it captures the characters that you're watching, and since you're more invested in the characters at this point, the music's sounding even better as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because a lot of them are pieces from the actual games.
Yeah.
There's some new stuff too, though, which is really... It still feels the same, though, so it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, then we get those big, wide, sweeping shots of all this, fresh, beautiful white snow on these real locations. Once again, they're not in a fucking blue screen, they're not in the fucking volume, they're out in the middle of fucking Canada somewhere with these beautiful, Western motifs by Gustavo playing, and like these beautiful long shots of them walking, and later on them on the horse. It was enjoyable from like a cinematic point of view for someone who likes westerns and likes the imagery of westerns and the feel of westerns. It felt like a western too in a lot of parts.
I do think a big part of the reason I don't like westerns is the desert.
That's fair.
I just
don't think you've watched a good western. I hadn't watched a good western until like well after I was out of high school. It was because of Quentin Tarantino. He's like, my favorite movie of all time is Good, Bad, and Ugly. I'm like, and I watched it. I'm like,
I mean, Django Unchained and shit. Those are westerns.
Django Unchained is a western.
Yeah, they're fucking good ones.
Yeah, and yeah, like Cowboy Bebop, that's a western. There's a bunch of stuff that is.
See, I don't think it's the western style. I gotta be. I just don't. I'm not. But that being said, Westworld was all the desert. That was good.
Westworld is a western as well.
But I love Westworld. I mean, these days I could take it or leave it because it's so fucking intricate. You know,
I never finished season 4. Not because I didn't want to, just because I think I had to watch Andor to write my notes for our review. But yeah, I know what you mean, but I was still kind of enjoying season 4. I didn't finish it.
I finished it, and I did genuinely enjoy it. This isn't saying I'm not enjoying it, but I don't like it as much as the first season where it was Westworld.
Yeah, that's fair. And Anthony Hopkins leaving is a big knock away from it.
I mean, yeah, but they still kept it going good for fucking the whole next season, I feel. We're not reviewing Westworld.
Not reviewing Westworld.
You're just getting a mini Westworld review in the middle.
There are many different things. The Rover, remember I showed you The Rover with Robert Pattinson? That's a western.
And I love that too. Yeah. That was a really good movie.
This episode felt like a western. And there's some great character moments between Joel and Ellie here. It's been 3 months later, so they're like actually bonded now. We're not even... Well, we're at the journey where the point where like they're attached to each other and like they're talking and they seem to be having fun in each other's company.
Yeah.
Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Jim Lovell. But you know who my favorite is?
Sally Ride.
Sally fucking Ride. Best astronaut name ever.
They've clearly had a lot of time together to just slowly build this trust. Gone through a lot of shit that you don't see. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. The whole way that all of the, you know how, I'm just skipping ahead to it, all the horses and shit surround them? That was a very different way of doing it than in the game.
Yeah? How did the game go, Mark?
In the game, you're getting all these conversations and shit while you're just travelling through this beautiful countryside in the forest in autumn. And there's like a water factory and shit that has going. You got to figure out a way to get past it and shit. And then you end up just coming up to Jackson, and you just come up to the wall. And some people over the wall start putting their guns out at you. They're like, "Who are you? What are you doing?" He's like, "We're just passing through," you know. And then he's like, "Open the gates." Like, what? Why? Because that's my goddamn brother.
Yeah,
and it was Tommy, and then Tommy lets them in, and then it goes from there.
Yeah. I couldn't hear Jackson without thinking of that Johnny Cash song.
I know, I still
Jackson
say that always pops in my head as well.
That's a great song.
And it really fit because they were all fucking Texans.
Yeah, the song is by Johnny Cash and June Carter, his wife. Great song. And yeah, so Joel finds his brother. Tommy's here. He didn't need to be saved. He was doing well, man.
Wait, we've got to go back to the fucking the dog and shit. We nearly skipped past the dog.
Joel's been having panic attacks.
That is just completely show. That is not in the game.
Interesting.
He was very you would never see him say the shit he said in this episode. Like maybe in The Last of Us Part 2, but he's like 4 years older at that point.
Yeah.
It's just very, I don't know, he doesn't show off that as much weakness as he does in this.
I had heard, from people that they thought that Joel was the bitch, or he's being watered down, or...
Well, compared to Game Joel, sure.
Game Joel just is like running through every cunt, and he's like an action hero.
But even in the character moments, it's not. I'm not talking about during battle sequences or anything. I'm talking about character moments which aren't connected to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He doesn't talk about himself ever. Like even him being closer to Ellie now, he's not as open, and he's just having little chuckles at her jokes and shit. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. From a non-gamer perspective, I think like these panic attacks and his freak out and his weakness, it adds so much to him. It just becomes like so much more broken and deep and more depth and relatable.
I definitely was feeling the in-depth. Like it's a different take, but it's fucking really well done. You know what I mean? It's still fucking amazing. It's just different.
Yeah, it's not an action adventure. There's like barely any action in these 2 episodes at all. It's like just straight up a dialogue-based HBO drama at this point, which is fucking brilliant because some of the greatest shows ever are fucking dialogue-based HBO
100%.
dramas.
I was worried they were just going to make it constant zombie attacks. And
like The Walking Dead.
Like that. Exactly. I
haven't watched The Walking Dead, but presumably The Walking Dead is just...
There's a lot of it, and then it's Neighbours. It's like Neighbours with zombies, in my opinion. That's why I stopped watching after season 2. Oh, there's going to be a lot of hate for that comment, but fuck it, say what you want.
You're not selling it well, Mark.
I don't like The Walking Dead. I watched the first 2 seasons and I gave up.
That's fair. I think I watched the first 2 episodes, and I wasn't like disgusted. I was just like, nah.
No, well that's it.
And by that point in time, I'd heard by like everybody that ever watched it that it peed us off at a certain point.
Yeah, it really does.
So yeah, why bother?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joel has this fucking crazy panic attack, and there's this great scene where this dog is sniffing to see if they're infected, and it goes up to Ellie, and it's just tense, and the music like crescendos to this insane
Edge
point.
of my seat.
Yeah, it's suspenseful. It's generally suspenseful, and it's all like from Joel's perspective. The camera's just on him, as like, and all the sound from like everything else is cut out, and she's fine. But yeah, like,
it was so cool.
We're skipping ahead now, but let's just talk about Joel's
I just want to say
character.
one more thing about the dog.
Alright.
I thought it was fucking super impactful, and it seemed like it did detect that she was infected. That's why I was very standoffish at first with her.
Yeah.
And then did it pick up the scent that she was immune? Like,
I don't know.
I feel like maybe there's a different scent to it or something.
Maybe.
Because it really fucking susses her out way more than Joel.
Yeah.
And then it just runs up and licks her and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's picking up on that. Who knows?
It was an interesting thought, I thought.
Yeah. So yeah, there are several character beats with Joel and Ellie throughout this episode where they go through this, I guess, process of bringing up all this emotional baggage they've been having and also having emotional confrontations. Joel has several with Tommy and Ellie has one with Lady. What's her name, Mark?
What, Tommy's wife?
Yeah.
Maria. Very interesting casting choice.
Yeah, this is a race swap.
Yeah, she was white Texan and that, just white girl, blonde hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting, and I also felt like they changed the character a bit too.
Yeah.
In the show, she seems very angry. While in the game, she was more just stern.
Yeah.
Like she's like really angry and mistrusting. For no reason.
She gets a confrontation with Ellie about Joel. Yeah, and she's very. Joel's not in her good books.
It was cool though, because that conversation happens in the game. You didn't get to see it because you're playing as Joel and Ellie's off with Maria. So it was interesting to see that side of it. Like I didn't hate. I think she did a good job as Maria, but I mean she wasn't a big part of the game, so I didn't really have that much to kind of compare her to.
Yeah, that's right. She was barely in the game.
Just a few scenes, you know.
Yeah.
The confrontation comes. There's no confrontation between Joel and Tommy in that. Part. They just have a chat about what's going on, and then Tommy agrees that he knows the way better because of the fireflies and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And agrees to take her, but then Ellie steals a horse.
Yeah.
And she runs from camp, and then they have to go find her. And that's when they come into the come to a house to find her, and then that's when they have that scene where she's having the argument and shit.
Yeah. Right. This is completely different.
Yeah, there's so much building to that scene because she's pissed, she's run off and he's had to go and get her, and it makes it really impactful.
Joel's going through all this shit. So yeah, let's talk about Joel and what's going on with him in this episode. He has this confrontation with Tommy, and Tommy reveals that he's going to be a father, and Joel's like...
That wasn't in the game either.
Yeah, he's ticked off. There's a line where he's like, well, we'll see what happens. And Tommy's like, just because you've lost everything in your life doesn't mean I can't have a life. And
that was cool.
Yeah, it just like cuts him deep.
He feels it too, you can see it.
Yeah.
Like...
He runs out, he has like another mini panic attack, and then he sees a girl that looks like Sarah. And I just think from a drama perspective, like if this is just a dialogue-based drama 90% of the time, then just it's so much more interesting and fascinating to have him like broken and traumatized. And if you think about it, like you have a daughter, I have a daughter. If my daughter was murdered and I didn't deal with it emotionally and immediately went into an apocalypse, like I would be fucked up, man.
Yeah, right? You have no time to just deal with it. You're in a constant state.
And I think it's reasonable to assume that Joel's panic attacks and he talks to Tommy later about waking up and like he's losing in his dreams, he's failing in his dreams, and he can't protect Ellie and he's gonna fail and all this stuff. I think that's realistic and I think that's grounded. I think that makes sense with his backstory and what we've been through. And I think it'll be far less immersive if he was just action man shooting cunts.
Yeah, no, 100%. I like I said, it's different from the game, but it's fucking amazing. Like
I was getting like Tony Soprano vibes, because Tony Soprano is this big, girthy mob boss who's also having panic attacks, and is also like they're broken in different ways. Joel is basically traumatized and has PTSD because his daughter was murdered, and Tony's just like a sociopath who's like unfixable and is just like a psycho.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony's been through some trauma for sure, but I feel like Joel was a reasonable guy that something horrible happened to, where Tony was just like, he was always going to be Tony.
He was just fucked up.
Yeah, he had a bad childhood, but he was always going to be Tony.
He was a mafia boss too. Like that plays well on the psyche.
That's right.
Like I said, it's a different variant, like a different universe of Joel. Like it's the same guy, different interpretations.
Yeah.
So I think it's brilliant. I can enjoy both. But in the game, I feel like he's already not dealt with it healthily, but just pushed everything down.
Yeah.
He's like to just push everything away.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't open up. Like this whole thing before that conversation they have at the end, I feel like Joel hasn't, like, I guess, accepted it himself, even if he's already started loving her, whatever, as a daughter.
Yeah.
And this is the moment where he's trying to push her away to get Tommy to take her. Because he can't get that close to someone.
Yeah.
And that's why she runs off when she hears him and Tommy talking.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's just a different interpretation. They're both deep, they're both fucking intricate, but this one's more human, you know what I mean? I don't know, it's just, it's really fucking cool.
It's A+ drama. Just executed, talking about execution from non-gamer perspective, not knowing any of that baggage. This is just its own show by itself. Yeah, just like Pedro's acting when he's breaking down to his brother. The dialogue.
The score.
Yeah, the level of complexity in the character and understanding of, trauma and PTSD and loss. It's fascinating.
It's so well written, like it's been so thought out. And it's brilliant to see. I'm so glad, because it could have gone so bad. You know what I mean? It could have been horrible.
The Last Jedi.
But it was amazing. And it's not finished yet, obviously there's still 2 more episodes, but it's so far, I'm sold. I'm thankful. You know?
It's good.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everybody I have cared for has either died or left me. Everybody fucking except for you! So don't tell me that I'd be safe with somebody else, because the truth is, I would just be more scared.
So, after all this suppression and hiding of emotions, Joel and Ellie have their emotional confrontation. Ellie's like, I'm not Sarah, I'm not gonna die, you don't need to be worried about me. And he's like, shut the fuck up, like, don't say anything about her. And then, Joel says something silly, he's like, you don't know what loss is. And there's a line here, Neil Druckmann talked about it, that the actor that plays Ellie, she like improvised, I got it written down. Everybody except fucking you. They talked about the placement of fucking and how it's in a different position than if that.
Fucking for you,
it's like not quite right. It was just the actress. Also,
it makes it more effective.
Yeah, it's more like human and real, because the actress was just improvising it.
That's like syllable for syllable from the game.
Yeah, it was the actress from the game.
Oh yeah.
What's her name?
Fucking Ashley Johnson.
Ding! Yeah, Ashley Johnson. Yeah, she improvised it. They were trying to play out the moment and they were getting stuck, and they went for like a break and they came back and she just improvised that moment. So they've taken all that like directly from the game.
That's so impactful. Like that's been impactful for me for years, and they got it in the show. I was like, yes.
That is awesome. Also, when Ellie talks earlier about wanting to be an astronaut, that comes from, what's her name, Ashley Johnson?
Oh, really?
Yeah, she is fascinated with space and astronauts and all that stuff, so they added that part of her into the game, Ellie, to incorporate the character, and Joel's into singing and guitar because the actor that plays Joel in the video game has that.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. And then, yeah, Joel says, you don't know what loss is. Obviously, the next episode very clearly outlines that Ellie is well aware what loss is. She's like, yeah, everybody that I've ever loved has died except for fucking you, shoves him. And yeah, they just go ways, but it's, once again, a brilliant little sequence here.
I feel like there were a lot of parts in this show that is better, that I will say is better than in the game, but in my opinion, that speech there has nowhere near as much impact, to me, at least to me, that it did in the game.
Interesting.
Like, a lot of the scenes, like Sarah dying and shit like that, they fucking nailed and did possibly better.
Yeah.
But that one, I'm like, I just feel it so much more in the game.
Yeah, interesting.
But I guess that's, like I said, because she's like run off, it's just this...
Yeah.
And then Joel, like I said, he's still very pushed, and that's the moment he decides, nope, I'm going to protect her like she's my daughter.
Yeah, okay, cool.
All this, like, guy kind of like Ellie's saying, do you even care about me? And he says, of course I do. Joel never would have said that. He never would have said that before that moment.
Yeah,
where
so
he
this was,
decides to take her on the horse.
Yeah, fascinating. Fascinating.
And it happens straight after, there's no night in between.
Yeah. There you go.
He just decides in that moment from their conversation down to the thing that he's going to take her.
Yeah. And yeah, so then basically they have the little fight, they make up, they leave, we get some great shots once again of them in the wilderness. Joel's trying to teach Ellie rifle and she can't do it, which is funny. I like how she's not a perfect character, she's not like Wesley, she's also like broken and traumatized and awkward and weird and not good at shooting a rifle.
Yeah, well, why she shouldn't come into it just be a fucking wicked fucking, you know.
Yeah, these feel like attempts at capturing humanity and how real it is and how awkward and off and how different people have completely polar opposite elements to them.
Yeah, I think it's a really good, illustrates really good about capturing the whole you are what your environment is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Wasn't the words I was looking for.
The events around you shape who you are?
Yeah, not exactly. But there was an exact phrase I was thinking of, but we captured what it meant anyway.
Yeah. Like, get in the fight and Joel gets stabbed!
Oh, yeah, that was... yeah, that what do you think of that scene?
It was good.
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, very different in the game. Yeah, they're like, you're just, shooting cunts, taking cunts out or whatever, and then there comes a point where some guy comes up and tries to grab you, and then, like, you're trying to fight him, well, then you end up getting, like, bashing through a fence that they're and falling off a balcony, and Joel gets impaled.
Yeah, right.
On a metal rod, on a steel rod, and that's when they have to take it off, and then they gotta get out of the horse and shit. And there's all the sequence of Joel, like, you're playing as him, the whole screen's fuzzy, like, your aim is completely off because you're, like, limping, and, Ellie's like...
I think you showed that to me, like, 7 years ago.
Yeah, she tries to... Ellie's like, come and help me, Joel, like, push her off, I don't need your help, I can do this sort of thing, like, really trying to push through and then just, like, passing out, and... Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot low scale here. He just gets stabbed by a broken baseball bat. There's no falling, there's no impaling.
I mean, it makes more sense with him staying alive, I guess, being impaled.
Yeah, like it went like through him.
Oh, it was like he fell on it and just it went like straight through. Like, I don't think it's...
You wouldn't be walking for much.
In a game, you're like, oh yeah, whatever.
It's a video game.
Yeah, but in a show, it'd be a lot harder to believe.
I had a note here about Steve Irwin and pulling out.
Yeah, what the fuck? Don't pull it out.
Yeah, don't pull it out. Well, that was my note. It's like, yeah, if you get stabbed like that, don't pull it out. But then I thought,
in the moment,
you're in shock. Steve Irwin. Steve Irwin was like a smart, savvy, intelligent guy that knew a lot about like the wilderness and animals and shit. He got stabbed through the fucking heart with a barb and he panicked and he pulled it out and the barbs were like backwards and it just shredded his heart.
Poor
yeah,
bastard, eh?
Joel's not thinking logically here. He's working on
He's
instinct.
feeling immense pain.
He has
and
a
looking
baseball
down
bat
and seeing
in
the
his
thing
stomach.
causing immense pain. Your first thought, take it out. Stop the pain. Don't realize, like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah. And yeah, they escape. It's, as always, well executed little action sequence. Joel falls off the horse. He doesn't look good.
Yeah, that part's the same.
lovely little
Captured very
cliffhanger.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, good episode.
I enjoyed the Western motifs and the emotional confrontation. So episode 7 opens with Joel all fucked up. Ellie is freaking out and try to deal with him, and he pushes her away. He's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Yeah, and then she walks out, closes the door. Hard cut to Ellie in, what is this, like a FEDRA training camp, school, boarding school kind of thing.
Yeah, because she's an orphan, so...
Yeah. There's this brilliant use of this Pearl Jam song here that just sets the mood perfectly. Ellie's listening to her Walkman and it's just like so low and depressing and dark and just expressing her emotional mindset brilliantly. Stereotypical bully takes it and she ragdolls stereotypical bully. We get like a scene with that Korean guy from Lost.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I forget who he played in Lost, but I watched Lost the first few seasons a lot, and I remember he was in Lost.
Yeah, I remember being in Lost, but I did not watch Lost. Like, I watched like the first season, I think. And...
I tried to get you to watch Lost, and you're like, "Oh no, watching Lost." I tell you, that first season was amazing.
It's kind of like you with The Walking Dead, where it's like I've heard all the shit that I've heard. I'm like, that sounds fucking confusing.
That's fair,
but
but
not watching this shit. Plus, I've seen episodes all through just randomly because Chrissy's been watching.
yeah.
So I kind of just
Now, in my defense, this was like when the first episode of Lost dropped. When it dropped, whenever the fuck that was, like
grade 7, grade 8. Fucking...
Yeah, so I didn't know that it was gonna become a confusing, bloated nightmare escape.
You're already invested.
Yeah, the first season was amazing. The first few seasons were amazing. I think the ending is maybe okay. I haven't rewatched it in a long time.
I'm probably not going to watch it, but... Look,
No, don't watch Lost. That guy was from Lost.
Don't watch Lost.
Don't watch Lost.
There's just no point.
No, you're like, yeah, there are so many other shows you should watch before Lost. Like 100.
Yeah, there's a lot more than 100, I think.
Every show.
Maybe not every, it's not Friends.
Not Friends, or Neighbours. Or The Walking Dead.
Well, Walking Dead is just Neighbours.
It is, but it goes to 10 seasons. Lost only goes to 7. You have the choice, just get Lost over and done with. But you don't watch Lost.
Nah,
watch
not
The Expanse.
Yeah, there you go.
Watch It's Always
The
Sunny.
Sopranos.
Watch anything.
But anyway.
Yeah, Ellie goes to bed. Riley has left her. This is a flashback to Ellie and Riley, and her world is just like meaningless and collapsed. Riley comes in through the window and wakes her up. What was this? This was like a little expansion DLC, Mark?
Yeah, it's a
downloadable content. What's a DLC, Mark? What the
Uh,
fuck is this thing that everyone's talking about?
It was a DLC, so like you had the main game, then there was a little separate story you could play as Ellie.
Yeah.
It takes place literally the moment Joel gets impaled when it switches seasons.
Ah, so it is actually where it is in the show as well.
Yeah, no, they actually did it quite well for that. But
Interesting.
it's like, yeah, as soon as Joel gets impaled, that's when the season switches to winter, which starts a new segment of the game. You're playing as Ellie, and you have to just try and find medicine for Joel. And then during this time, you end up having these flashbacks, which is this episode. So I feel like what a lot of people are complaining about this episode is it's all just, you know, moments, there's no action, blah, 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 because in the game, it's in segments between you cutting back and forth and having to get medicine, kill clickers, like there's action in between it. This is just that story, if that makes sense. That's my thoughts on it.
I don't know, I feel like, yeah, if you have a problem watching this episode and if it was boring and if it didn't hold your attention and if zombies didn't get stabbed in the head, then that's fine. Go watch Lost. You dumb cunt. This is a sophisticated drama and it's well executed.
I mean, exactly right. Like, this is what this is about. It's not a fucking horror gore fest. Go watch a fucking horror gore fest movie or something if you want. This is a fucking well thought out, slower drama. It's all about character moments.
Yeah.
The game was too. There was just action in between.
I think, everyone assumed that there were going to be more action moments and more intense, gory battles and stuff because the game has a lot of violence and stuff. But for reasons...
It's not really necessary.
Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, they decided to lean more out of the violence, which is still very, very prevalent in the show and happens very often. And make it like a hard dialogue-driven drama about emotions and love and loss.
I think it was a great choice.
Yeah.
Like, it makes also, if you put them in the clickers and all that in too often, you won't be as afraid of them.
And it loses the effect.
Exactly.
If every episode was episode 2, by this point we'd be like, it's still good.
Yeah, but we have so much more to talk about.
Yeah, so Ellie and Riley, this great little relationship here. There's all this animosity introduced immediately because Riley has left Ellie. She's just disappeared and Ellie's angry at her, but then there's all this friendship going on at the same time. So it's interesting they combined, animosity and kind of they're competing with each other, but they're obviously really good friends and really close. They exit the building and Riley's like, we're gonna go on an adventure. She reveals she joined the Fireflies, so there's all this stuff going on with Ellie being like, they're fascists and terrorists, and she's like, well, you're part of this crazy dictatorship and all this stuff. Ellie doesn't align with the idea of joining the Fireflies. We learn later on
She had that speech with that commander too, that was, that influenced her a lot, that wasn't in the game.
Well, and we learn later on, skipping to later on, but we don't really need to follow this episode linearly, beat for beat or anything, let's just talk about the emotions going on. Riley reveals that she was put on shit duty. She was gonna take part in the waste facilities. She says something about watching people shovel shit. She didn't have a future in FEDRA.
No, fuck no.
So it makes sense for her to leave and join these renegade terrorists and blow shit up. Well, Ellie, had more hope in this dark, depressing, disgusting dystopia.
Yeah, in the game, Ellie wanted to join the Fireflies, but Marlene wouldn't allow it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but they were still pissed. She was still pissed that Marlene went off and joined them.
Yeah.
And then she didn't believe her at first.
Yeah.
Until she showed her the gun or whatever.
Yeah, and they enter into this fucking mall, and it's this wonderful dream. Everything's beautiful. It's heightened. And everything I said about everything being live action and amazing, I was completely wrong about. Because this sequence, half the mall is digital. It's like a composite. It was like a one-story mall that they got. And they added everything else on top. That scene where all the lights flick on, it all comes on. That was digital. I watched this fucking episode, I didn't even realize. It looked so good.
Oh, fuck, wait, was that, wait, CGI?
Half the mall, the top half of it, in every shot of the mall is a digital extension.
I had no fucking
They
idea.
shot in a one-story mall. That's the mall they got to shoot in. It was being condemned. So they extended, the second half of the mall digitally. And this whole time I've been saying, digital effects suck. Live action, live action, live action. And then I watched this and I had no idea. It just looked real. It looked beautiful. It looked amazing. It was seamless. And I didn't even know it was digital. The time has come where shit is digital and I don't notice.
Well, that's
I used to pick it out every single time. Every single time I could be like, that's CGI! That's CGI!
You're angry at
That's
yourself for
CGI!
not noticing it, aren't you?
Well, no, it's just brilliant at this point. I guess if you put the time and the money into it as well, because CGI can still be shit.
That's true, but that's as far as the extent of extensions in the background, not the fucking pale wolf and fucking
The Hobbit.
The Hobbit, yeah. I mean, they still couldn't do that to the point where you wouldn't know it's CGI.
Yeah, and there's this escalator sequence with, what's the song?
Take On Me.
Yeah, with Ellie.
That song has a lot of like emphasis in the games as well.
Mm.
So it's like, I like that they chose to use that song.
Neil Druckmann, every song that is in this show has like he like knows the song and it means something to him, and it has all this like, it's there for a purpose. He hasn't like just randomly gone and dragged in like a song. He talks about like the Pearl Jam song at the beginning of this episode and all these other songs and why they have meanings for him and why they're here and why this song suits it and how he picked it and how he went through the lyrics and how the music makes him feel. He's a very musical guy. And yeah, all these songs in here, I feel like they're in here for a reason. Or at least I know they're in here for a reason because I listen to
everything he's put into the show is there for a reason. Like, I feel like everything has its place.
It's like people care about the show who are making it.
Like, who would have guessed?
Unlike Picard, where nobody cared, Mark. Nobody had even watched Next Gen, let alone cared about Next Gen. Apparently season 3 is not bad.
Really?
Well, the first episode of season 3.
Dude, give it time. Give it time. That's what they said about season 2.
Yeah, that's fair. It was season 1. I think the first episode of season 1 was alright.
Yeah, I mean, that was already like, shut up, Picard.
You old
At
piece
least
of
once.
shit.
You fucking suck.
We're not talking about Picard though, or Lost, or Westworld. We are talking about The Sopranos. We're always talking about The Sopranos.
Always, forever, and
Especially
always.
when we're talking about another HBO drama.
Wait.
Back to back?
Yeah. Just scary.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Get out.
Okay, sorry.
Riley has all these things they want to do. They go to the carousel. It's a nice, beautiful moment. They did the photo shoot. That was nice. But then,
that was in the game. That was a good moment in the game.
yeah, and then the next major beat seems to be the arcade and Mortal Kombat 2.
That Mortal Kombat 2, that was fucking weird.
What do you think about that, Mark?
In the game, it's like a game that's exclusive to The Last of Us, obviously. It's just, what was it called again? Oh, this is gonna bug me if I can't remember. Angel Knives, I believe? And it was just this chick with like, Wolverine claws and shit.
Yeah.
The arcade doesn't work.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could play it. Then he has this thing where she closes her eyes and Riley kind of reenacts alright, you just press this button for punch, press this button for blah 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 blah, and then she's explaining what's happening on the screen to Ellie while Ellie has her eyes closed playing with the game controller, and it's like this really nice.
Yeah. So they don't actually play the game.
No, it's like the arcade, like there's all power and shit, but that's not working.
Yeah.
It's the game Riley always tells her about.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's a really cool moment. But I mean, yeah, like it was good in the show too. It was just different.
Yeah.
I can't give up. Like I can't take a pass at anything at it. It's all so well done.
It's not sloppy or pointless or of poor quality.
Yeah. No, and I feel like they captured. I would even argue they captured the relationship better in this episode.
Wow. That is high praise from you, Mark, because you came into this loving the video game more than anything ever.
I still love the video game more than anything ever, but they captured this one thing better, I think, like their relationship.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the way that it's executed, and some of the moments in the game are great too.
Yeah.
But I just feel like their relationship, they fucking smashed. And that's what this episode was about.
Completely and utterly, it was another Bill and Frank episode, but it was Ellie and Riley. The Bill and Frank episode seems to fit more into the structure now that I know what the show is going to be like.
Yeah, right? I feel like I can watch it when I watch it again. It's going to be like, oh yeah, no, I feel like I
Now I'm into it.
It was just very early in the show and you didn't
Sexual.
even know what to expect. No.
We have this beautiful moment of the friendship and the bliss and the wonder of all the lights is like magical. I feel like the place would have been like completely ransacked and destroyed in the 20 years. I know that they set up that there's infected in there and that's why people went in there. 20 years is a long time.
Didn't do that in the game.
Yeah, 20 years is a long time, and yeah, I feel like people just would have ransacked the shit out of it in those 2 decades. But yeah,
if FEDRA's got it all under control.
Maybe. It's fine. I mean, I can suspend my disbelief for that one moment. And yet they pan away slowly from this beautiful wonderland to an infected person.
Yeah.
Who's all fucked up.
Dude, I want to say this is a different one we haven't seen yet. This is a stalker.
Okay, true.
It's
I didn't
like-
even realize.
Yeah, so these ones, they're a bit different. They're halfway between clickers and runners. So he started getting the fungal shit on his face, but it hasn't completely taken his vision.
Yeah.
These ones will not just run after you and fucking try and get you. They will stalk you. And they'll like hide behind corners and you just hear every so often, but then they're trying to sneak up behind you to get you like that. So they're smarter.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Creepier.
Yeah, and they are very well known to be attached to the wall. You'll be walking randomly across them, and like,
Yeah.
you know. So I was just like, fuck yeah, they're incorporating him, and he was acting differently, which I thought was cool.
That's fascinating. I didn't pick up on any of that. It just looked like one of them infected guys to me.
Yeah, no, if you notice, he's like gets a lot more of the fungal growth.
Yeah. Fascinating. They have the atypical like second act low point in a drama where Riley and Ellie's relationship comes to heads. It's like a typical narrative. You have to have like your ups and downs and your low point, and Ellie sees the pie bombs. They were like having this moment together and she's like, fuck you, you're a fucking terrorist piece of shit. And Riley's like, bro, I'm trying to give you this fucking day, I'm leaving, I'm gonna be gone, I just want to give you this moment. And Ellie's like, fuck you, bitch. She walks out, and then I think, yeah, she just like, she loves her, right? She's like,
well, she's thinking she'll never see her again.
I don't want to end it like this. And she goes back into Riley.
She hears the and thinks she's like,
Yeah.
and you've seen the infected, and you're thinking she's screaming. but
You're
she's
kind of on
dying.
edge. They do well at having this emotional drama where like people are generally having like moving moments as well as having you like tense slightly in the background.
I wasn't
You're
that tense
watching them
until I
have
saw the
fun.
infected though.
No.
You know, and at that moment they get separated. It's like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
What's happening? What's gonna happen? You know.
But yeah, they come back in together, they dance, and they fucking kiss!
The masks they wear are the exact same ones you can get in the game.
That's
it's fucking beautiful.
Mm.
And that whole dance scene, yeah, I don't know. I'll say in the game's probably a bit better for that. That scene, dancing. It was the same song, but it was a different version. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay.
It was the original in the.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I swear it was different.
Yes.
And it was just a really nice moment. I felt it was captured a bit better, but not to say that this wasn't captured really well as well in a different way. But
Yeah.
I just liked it more.
Yeah. I think it's so relatable because we've all like been in love with somebody but not known if they loved us back, and we can see that playing out with both of them simultaneously, and just you can relate to that. You're like, yeah, those moments where you like someone.
And those vibes were there the whole episode.
From the
you
beginning.
see them.
Even when they're tense, even when they're fighting, they're obviously like in love with each other. But they haven't told each other yet. They don't know that the other one's in love with them, or at least they're not
They're
sure.
in the age bracket, you know. That was back in those days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it captured it perfectly.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they kiss, and people, I don't know, people were pissed that in the second game that she was, you know, gay or whatever, and I was just like, but it's right there.
Yeah, true.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's right there. How can you get pissed about that when it was part of the DLC in the first game?
Yeah, they didn't
Why
play
is it
that.
such a big fucking deal?
Why are they angry that she's gay anyway?
Sorry?
Why are they angry that she's gay anyway?
Oh, you know, just the fucking internet.
Oh, because, yeah, I guess if she's gay then...
Oh, this woke shit, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. I don't know, it didn't feel off place to me. It felt like it was fine. I have no issue with it.
Yeah.
Why do you have to poke this fucking hatred into everything?
They're not making Gandalf gay.
Yeah, well,
This
yeah, exactly. They're
new
not taking
character is gay.
Exactly. Yeah, it just bothers me.
Dumbledore's
The internet bothers
gay.
me sometimes.
Dumbledore's gay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. He does love fabrics a lot. I remember in the Half-Blood... was it the Half-Blood Prince at the start where he picks up that magazine? He's like, oh, might I take this? I quite like the fabrics in this one.
I just remember fucking... What's her name?
I don't know who you're talking
The
about.
author.
Oh, J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling. Writing 7 books and not mentioning once that Dumbledore was gay. And then after all the books had come out, and every opportunity she had to make him gay, then she was like, yeah, no, he's always been gay.
I mean, she's like, what are you going to say? She's not.
I'm the creator.
I fucking wrote this shit.
And yeah, they kiss. There's a line. Oh my gosh, I
Jesus.
apologize, Mark. They kiss, and it's like, oh, what are we gonna do now? And Riley's like, we're going to figure it out. They're going to explore their underage teenage bodies.
Well, Ellie, okay. Ellie convinces her to stay. And I think that was the big impact.
Everything's gonna be alright, Mark. The person that you love loves you.
That moment.
They're gonna figure stuff out.
She's not leaving anymore. She's gonna stay and they can be together.
Roll credits, happy ending. What a beautiful story they told.
Not in The Last of Us.
The infected story comes through. He bites everyone.
They take him down though. They take him down.
Yeah, it's a great sequence once again. I feel like at this point in time, every little action sequence, I'm like, it's well executed. It was a well executed action sequence.
And it was oh my god, it was tense. I was so fucking.
Yeah.
I knew the outcome, but I was just like fuck, like the whole time. It was
that
so
moment where Ellie's bit and she's like rubbing her wound.
Oh, that was shot for shot too. Like she rubs it off and then it starts bleeding, so you know it's broken the skin.
Yeah.
Like
just something about her like panicking and the way that like she was like and rubbing it and like the blood smearing. It was a nice little moment that stuck out to me. Like, ooh, the panic in the way she was injured. It seemed like realistic.
Yeah, fucking no, she's freaking the fuck out.
Riley like shuts
Riley
down.
keeps it together pretty well.
Yeah, and Ellie's angry, which is interesting because I guess like Riley, she talked earlier about her parents dying. She's experienced loss and she's more at terms with death. She's seen more death and stuff, whereas Ellie, she's not familiar. Well, she probably is actually. She's probably seen a fuckload of death. She lives in this.
Oh yeah, mostly all she would see would be the soldiers randomly shooting someone who they've scanned
on the streets.
Yeah,
on her day-to-day life.
That does happen. Yeah.
But yeah, she seems more juvenile and less experienced, naive to death, even though she lives in a.
I mean, Riley's 2
dystopian.
years older.
That's fair. Riley mentions her parents. Something might have gone down. Either way, Ellie acts more erratic and angry, where Riley's more accepting. Riley starts talking about their two options. They can either kill themselves, which is fascinating because that could have most definitely happened, and if that had happened, the cure would have been gone. Or the other option is, and this is where it like ties back thematically into Joel and like perfectly links the emotional intent and the other narrative happening. The second option is like we can just spend these last moments of our lives together, whether it's 2 minutes or 2 hours. Let's just live out our lives and have the life we have.
And lose our minds together.
Yeah, and Ellie's at the door back with Joel and she goes back in and she's like, fuck it, he's gonna die, he's fucked, he's wrecked, it's endgame, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try and save him because life is important, Mark.
That was...
Themes, narratives, tying in with other stuff. It's very cleverly written. The way this isn't just like plopped in, it's not just, well, this is Ellie's backstory. Riley and her decisions and Ellie dealing with the grief and emotion of Riley directly ties in with Joel and what's happening with Joel and how she deals with the Joel situation. It's clever!
It was definitely interesting. Like yeah, very clever. In the game, yeah, she doesn't have that moment of I'm not gonna save him. She's like, I have to fucking save this guy. He's keeping me alive. At this point,
that makes sense.
There's none of that, and there's even a nice moment in the game where it's cold, or whatever, and he's just down in the basement, and she just curls up next to him when she goes to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, it's like she's trying to keep him alive. He's just like, because he doesn't wake up again until he's good. I can't talk about that. But I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, fuck.
No, I think I kind of knew that he made it. Maybe. But not completely. But now I do. Thanks.
I mean, if you really don't want it, you just cut it out.
In conclusion, episode, what was this, 7?
Yeah.
Episode 7 was, a nice little episode.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was invested in their relationship, and I related to the idea of someone you love leaving, and I related to the idea of loving someone and not knowing if they love you back, and I think everyone does, and I think these are really like
human moments.
And well written and well informed and clever and interesting and very high budget and well acted and well edited, and the score is really cool.
It's done really well.
But those rabbits in the previous episode, the snow rabbits, they looked fake.
I don't remember the snow rabbits. I'm sorry.
They looked fake, Mark. The show sucks. I'm out.
Forget everything I've said.
Have anything you want to say about these episodes before we go, Mark?
Just fucking bravo. I'm just so thankful that they nailed it. Who would have thought giving, like, the story of a game to the person who wrote it? You know? Like, just The Witcher, mate, they failed. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
But that's all I have to say.
In conclusion, we'll see you next time for the final 2 episodes
Oh my God,
of season 1 of The Mandalorian. Or Papa Pedro. What are we watching? The Last of Us. Lost. The Sopranos.
Oh, there's so much to come.
Do you think they're going to just be an hour?
I actually read somewhere that the last episode's the shortest episode.
Fascinating. Peace.
I don't know if that's good, but I'm sure
It's fascinating.
It's definitely something.